And we're moving on to the next story. Kind of deals with some of the issues for why we even had a Black Panthers party. T Streams and Larry both was talking about this story. Um, if you're ready to be slightly upset, get ready, because some of us who have dealt with this for years and years, we're used to it, but we're still fighting the same battle. It is about a Black couple trying to get some money for their home, trying to get some things done to create generational wealth. Come to find out, the ugly head of racism popped up again. Take a look at this.
It's certainly no secret that home ownership is the pathway to building wealth in America. But what's hard in the Bay Area is even harder for some.
And tonight, a look at the growing inequity in home ownership rates in the Bay Area. ABC 7 News race and culture reporter Julian Glover has the story of a Marin couple who almost got cheated out of $500,000.
You know what I mean? It was work, but it was exciting.
Paul and his wife Tanisha Austin felt like they captured a slice of the American dream in 2016 when they purchased their first home together, this original Marin City pole home. But it wasn't without challenges.
As soon as like a house came on the market, you go in, you put your bid in, and then you get outbid it by like 100,000 or more rather quickly. And that can be, you know, a little bit depressing.
They bought the home off market from another Black family hoping to make homeownership a reality for a young Black couple. After moving into the home built in the 1960s, the Austins staged major renovations, adding an entire floor and more than 1,000 square feet of space, along with a deck, new floors, a fireplace, and new appliances. Then they got it appraised.
I read the appraisal, I looked at the number, and I was like, this is unbelievable.
The family tells me the appraiser was an older white woman, and they're convinced race was a factor. The home appraised for $989,000, just $100,000 more than the Austins got it appraised for before they started the work, despite $400,000 in renovations.
It was like, you know, it was a slap in the face.
The Austins immediately called their lender and pushed back. After a month of escalating their complaints, they were approved for a second appraisal. When the date came, they got creative.
We had a conversation with one of our white friends, and she is like, no problem, I'll be Tanisha. I'll bring over some pictures of my family. She made our home look like it belonged to her.
And it worked.
So it appraised for 1.482.
Yeah.
Which was 50% more than what it appraised for by a couple weeks prior.
Almost 1.5, $500,000 more.
The Austins were outraged and believe this is another ugly result of larger systemic issues.
There are implications of the ability to create generational wealth or pass things on if our house is appraised for 50% less than what is valued at.
We know discrimination is in nearly every aspect of the home buying process, and really we need to be addressing it as an industry.
Discrimination in the housing market comes in many forms and has a long history in our country and in the Bay Area, leading to alarmingly low rates of Black Americans owning their own home. Black home ownership lags across the country, with less than half, only 44% of Black Americans owning their own home in 2020. Compare that to 74% for white Americans. Looking at the Golden State, just 34% of Black Californians own a home. In the Bay Area, those numbers are even lower. Just 33% of Black San Francisco residents own a home, compared to 61% of white San Franciscans. The numbers are more drastic in San Jose, with a Black home ownership rate of 31% and a white home ownership rate of 65%, more than double.
Why are we seeing such a great disparity?
There's still problems in the housing industry of Black people being steered away from white neighborhoods, even though that is technically illegal, or Black people not having the same access to mortgages that white people have.
According to the National Association of Realtors, Black applicants are rejected for mortgage loans at rates 3 times higher than that of white applicants. Another factor suppressing Black home ownership.
African Americans have nearly double the amount of student loan debt than we see for white homebuyers. So that's just one of the many hurdles that African American homebuyers are really strapped with and holds back their buying power.
And the pandemic has made things worse. The representative from NAR stressed closing the home ownership gap is essential to closing the wealth gap in our country. To make that happen, equity in housing and access to affordable homes must be the central focus. The Austins agree.
If we are aware that implicit bias exists in other systems, police, school, why wouldn't they also exist in the housing market? And then what can we do to, fix that?
There could be help on the way in the form of two Biden administration proposals. The first would extend $15,000 in down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. The other, a $100 billion fund to update existing and create new affordable housing.
Oh, my Lord, fellas, Lord have mercy. You talking about an increase for putting Karen, I can't even call her Karen because she was on our side. You're talking about, I'm going to call her Becky. You're talking about a $500,000 increase in the property of your house because you slid a Becky in there, pretended to be white. Fellas, let me tell you how I've had to deal with this too. I'm in a business circle in the Triad with other business owners. Some are minorities, some are women, blah, 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 right? I've been in there with a woman who never shows her face at this. I'm not even going to say what her business is, but she owns a business that's predominantly caters to Anglo-Saxons because of discretionary income. She never showed her face. No one ever knew she owned it. They thought that the person that owned it was an Anglo-Saxon. Fellas, why is it the minute she decided to be the face of her company, nothing else changed about the business? Only that she was there more. She started greeting the people. She started telling them, I'm the owner. Why is it that she saw a decline in her revenue 30%? And the very next year, she goes back to having the other girl be the general manager, the Becky being the general manager. Her revenues go back up because people assume Becky is the owner. It happens everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. This is exactly what we mean when we talk about getting squeezed. You have Colin Kaepernick taking a knee for injustice, police brutality. It happens across the spectrum. Do you really think that the only place people have these implicit biases is with the police department? No, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And you would expect in California that you wouldn't see this as much. But I'm here to tell y'all, racism lives everywhere in the United States. And when you see this type of foolishness, you have to call it out. You have to stamp it out. And I hope that whoever that person was that did their first refi got a stern stamp out, because they certainly ain't no other excuse for why they didn't get that money that they needed. Larry, I'm going to give it to you first.
Well, you know, I'm a couple of funny things. I posted this on my Facebook page, and after T-Stream sent it, and I actually sent it to a group, a thread that I'm on with some couple of friends from back home. And one of the ladies on the thread was like, "Yeah, this is my cousin. I know this story personally because the guy's my cousin." And
the guy, your cousin?
The guy, it's a friend of mine's cousin.
Okay, so, I was about to say I like him. He drives a Tesla.
Yeah, but I talked to I talked to my mom after she had read the story on my Facebook page, and she sent me a message, and she told me, she said, "Hey, she said, when your father and I, sold your childhood home," she said, the realtor, when she was going and doing the appraisal, she put on the home that we were apparently, I guess it happened twice. Once is when they were buying the home, and once when they did the appraisal. First, when they were buying the home, she put that my parents were white. And she then, I guess they saw it on the paperwork, and I guess they called her to talk to her and tell her there was a mistake. And she said, "No, let me explain to you what's happening here and why you're going to leave it like this." And so, I mean, they understood, and that's what happened. I mean, luckily they were able to get the mortgage. And, this is back in the day when they weren't really letting a lot of black folks. I mean, it's not that they could legally stop you, but they would just not sell you the home. And luckily at the time, my dad was a cop. And so they allowed him to move in the neighborhood because he was a cop. And then when they sold the house, apparently the real estate agent had to do the same thing. They put that they were white. So when they went and got the house appraised, they didn't get screwed. And I mean, it's unfortunate because, like the woman was talking about in the, and she was mentioning in the piece there, she was like, it affects the amount of generational wealth that can be passed on. So if you're taking whatever, I mean, we see the wealth gap that is between whites and blacks, and it's astronomical. I mean, it's at such a point, it's at such a divide. I don't know if we'll ever make up that gap. I hope that we will, but I don't know how. But
40 acres and a mule. Make up some ground quick, as long as y'all don't go buy Cadillacs.
there is that. So, but if you're taking people's wealth that they build, if you take, people work hard and they have jobs. I don't know what this brother does, but whatever he does and she does, they're doing okay because they bought a $900,000 house and put $400,000 into it. They have a lot of money. And if you're taking people's wealth and just saying, nope, that wealth does not exist, that value does not exist, you're just basically screwing them. And so, there's not a lot of Black people that can afford to buy a home like that. And so likely when they sell it, unless they hold true to what the owners originally did, they're probably going to sell it to a white person. So unless they go through and have one of their white friends come through and get it, when it comes to get appraised again, unless they have it made up to look like a white person lives there again, they might be looking at getting screwed all over again. So, but I guess and this is the other thing with that whole situation. They said they bought this house off market from another Black family. Most of us don't have that opportunity. Most of us don't have the opportunity to say, okay, here's a Black family or here's a Black couple that lived in this house and maybe they had kids and their kids have been raised and gone. Now they want to go live somewhere else. Maybe they don't have to worry about the maintenance of a large home. So we're just going to go find a nice Black couple to sell it to. Most people don't have that. Right. Most people are forced to contend with the market as is, And so, it's just frustrating when and I say this frustratingly because as someone who's currently in the market to buy a home, my wife and I have been looking for homes. We have been searching for 2 years. We haven't been able to find anything we really like. We found a few things and then, something fell through with them. And we decided we were going to up our price. And so we were like, okay, we upped our price. We found a home. We were surprised the first weekend out after we upped our price. We found a home that we actually liked. We went, said, yep, this is the one we want to go ahead and buy. We didn't even, our real estate agent said we can put in a bid, but it doesn't even make sense because they were like, the real estate agent already came back and said that we have a number of bids over asking already. It's like 20, 30,000 over asking. Now, part of me, when I hear this story, part of me wonders, maybe we should have put in a bid anyways. Maybe that real estate agent was full of shit and didn't have any bids. She just didn't want any Black folks living there. And so maybe we should have said, we'll put the bid in anyways, But it is frustrating when people come in. And there was one other house we looked at a while back. We decided not to put in a bid on it, but we did go look at and see what it sold for. And it was listed for $525 and it sold for $615, So, people are selling stuff way above asking. It does get frustrating. So
I feel you. Right now, Larry, honestly, since before the pandemic, here in North Carolina, it has certainly been a seller's market, because buyers are just paying all these astronomical prices above what asking is. So maybe that was contributing in that situation. But T-Streams, you own property just like I do, commercial property just like I do. Talk about how it made you feel when you saw what this brother was going through, considering he spent the money to renovate the property. And now, Larry, you might not know the saying, but there's a saying for us folks in real estate that do this. It's called BRRRR: buy, rehab, refinance, repeat. That's how you make money. You buy, you rehab, you refinance, you repeat, and if you're not living in it, you rent it. And then you pull your equity out of it. That's how you make money. T-Streams, talk about it.
Yeah, man. When I sent that over to you, I had saw it and I was like, damn, because to me, systemic racism is a bigger threat to the Black people in the United States than blatant racism can ever be. Okay. Because though somebody, somebody calling you a nigga, or, thinking that you're a monkey, or that that you are below them. Uh, those things, those things are pretty superficial compared to, the powers that be that can actually move and shape things, that can stop you and hinder you from advancing and doing other things as far as living your American dream. Now, the same thing happened to me once before. On the surface, I don't look very impressive. I wear my hats and my sneakers, and we was looking at some houses one day, and I'm just average old Joe, average old Joe. And me and my wife, we saw a house that we liked. It was nice, and so the guy that was doing the walk-in for us, I told him, I just basically told him, I said, man, here, well, I want this, and then he told me what the price was, and he was like, well, you see all these cards right here mean that it's been getting a lot of showings.
Oh God.
And so, and I was like, that's cool. I want whatever it is, we gonna take it. We're gonna, we'll do it. And then I told him, I said, well, I'll just overbid. I'll just overbid, because when I saw it, I was like, this is the house for us. And the man, this guy, he sat there and told me, he said that I could not overbid by X amount of dollars. I had to be within a 2 or 3% range of the appraisal value of the home.
Hmm?
That's dude. I promise to God, man. So what he was trying to do was suppress my buying power. That's what he was trying to do, and that's where our heads clash at. Because I'm like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Who made this? Who made this rule? And so the only thing I could think of is, oh, you don't want to see me come out here and take this from your comrades, and the whole situation. It just went left, and it just went left, and he could have, if he would have did his business, he could have made some change off of it, but that dude, seeing that really pissed me off, because I was able to relate to it to a certain extent on how they try to say how much. Okay, so if I overbid, then I can only overbid, just a few competitive dollars. I can't do like everybody else and put a stamp on it and okay, make the next man just give up. I can't do that. All right, that's what you're saying I can't do. But this is just some bullcrap you throwing in the game right here. Well, needless to say, our stark disagreement right there on the property that particular day pulled us away from the market. And I really just hate to see this, because some people, man, people work hard, and then a part of the American dream, regardless of how much a home costs, is someone being able to say, okay, this is my home that I worked hard, that I paid for. It is mine. I'm going to raise my kids here, or, I'm going to live here and my kids gone, or whatever the case may be. I'm going to put up my picket fence, but this is mine. And to have the powers that be try to shackle you and, and hinder you from making certain advances that could propel you in your personal status or in your life is really just dead wrong. And here, and when was this? This was like early last year, right before the dang on first shutdown here with the COVID stuff. And it was just, it's just terrible to see people having to see people go through that. But I don't know.
Yeah, I would say people, considering I've been through this countless amount of times, I'm always encouraging people to have multiple relationship with banks. I've got like 8 different bank accounts, and I know each and every one of these bankers personally. I get to know them so that when things come up, I know they got my back. And there are some banks I was going to go with that I didn't feel like they had my back. I cut them loose. It is enough for us to deal with racism, but we also have to deal with the pure damn nepotism that comes on in the real estate market that they pass down to their buddies before it gets to things like Redfin, Zillow, backdoor pocket deals and stuff like that we don't get our hands on because the nepotism passes it that way. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you meet resistance, they expect you to give up the first time. That's what they expect. The brother in the video, he ain't give up. He went back to back. Keep fighting. Keep looking for someone else that can help you in that process to get these things that can enhance the overall quality of life, which we call life gains for you and your family.